My name is Tony Fladeland, and I am from Bismarck, and I work at St. Mary's Grade School.
And what's your job title?
I'm the principal.
And tell us about your education.
I actually went through the Catholic school system here in Bismarck, graduated from St. Mary's Central High School, and went on to Boston College for 1 year, and then transferred to the University of Mary, where I completed a teaching degree in both secondary math and secondary music. I went on to work teaching band for about 6 or 7 years, and then I'm currently getting my master's for this position in elementary administration.
So what do you do in your job?
Just about everything in terms of running the school. Me being a private school principal, I'm also responsible not only for teacher development and that side of the job, but also the building management, and so buildings and grounds. And so, there's a staff of about 30, including teachers and cooks and custodians and teachers' aides and office staff. There's a staff of about 35 people here. So in managing the staff, largely it's a matter of dealing with the disciplinary issues of students, dealing with the concerns of parents, concerns of staff members. There's the logistics of the job in terms of communicating with the state, in terms of our numbers of students and the classes being taught, make sure we're following all those regulations. And so there's the regulatory side of it. There's also the curriculum side of it, becoming up to date on all of the curriculum being used, the most effective curriculum to use in the different classrooms, the different age groups. Monitoring the teachers, making sure that they are teaching, quality time with the students. Scheduling. Right now we're involved with enrollment for the coming year, and so there's a lot of giving tours, talking to families about their concerns for the coming years, with the younger grades primarily. Let's see here. It's something different every day. It's wonderful. Because it really, there's so many different things going on. It's a lot of meetings. There's meetings with different parents, meetings with other schools, communicating with the other schools in town. There's not a whole lot of instruction duty that I'm currently involved with right now, but it really varies. Sometimes, like you see, I'll step into a room to cover another teacher. So it's something different every day. It's wonderful.
How many hours do you normally work?
Per week?
Sure.
It really varies. It's certainly, I think just like any teaching job or anything in the field of education, below university level, you're going to be working, at least during the school year, you're going to be working probably 50 hours a week. I think I've spent about 9 hours a day here, and then at least a couple hours a day at home. So that comes out, probably 50, 55 hours a week. But like I said, I don't think it's in terms of workload, I don't think it's much more during the year than what a teacher would put in. The difference between administration and teaching is that you're going to put in the work over the summer as well, and that you're going to do more work with the whole workings of the school, in terms of promotion, doing things like this, promotional materials for the press and all that.
You already kind of answered this, but do you take work home with you?
As least as possible. It's nice not to have to. I've tried to stay pretty close to the no work on weekends throughout the year, and I'm doing pretty well. But that means that during the week, you're going to have to. I like to get here really early in the morning. I come about 7 o'clock in the morning so that I can start taking care of those things that normally won't get done during a day. But I do try to limit it, because I think if all you're doing is work, you're going to have trouble.
How would you describe the pace at which you work?
It's pretty varied. Different times of the year, you're going to get there's going to be a different pace. That's a tough one. I consider myself to pretty much be on a moderate pace on a regular basis. It's just that it's the proper. I think it's the proper scheduling of events. I think if you can really schedule events, and it reminds me in some ways of being a restaurant server, because I was a restaurant server when I worked in college, and I think about all of the different things that you had to have working in the proper order so that you could get food out and drinks out and appetizers out, and you can draw the correlation between those two, because here it's the same thing. You have to have everything in order and be doing little bits of everything in terms of promotion and enrollment and teacher supervision and curriculum development and human relations work with all of your employees, making sure everybody's happy, making sure the students are well disciplined. And so it's just all of those things. And so if you do those all in proper percentage, I think you're in good shape.
How has your education prepared you for your career?
Well, that depends on what type of education. There's the education in the classroom, and then there's the education of experience. In terms of my experience, very much prepared me very well. I think I've had an opportunity in my life to work in different environments where I've been exposed to people of different needs and different socioeconomic backgrounds, and I think that helps me in this position quite a bit because I think I can relate a little bit better to the whole population. My teaching background for sure. I've been teaching. I taught for 7 years in grades 6 through 8, which is a difficult time for kids, and it can be a very difficult time for teachers as well to teach that grade level. So I think that helped me out quite a bit. And now it's just becoming more familiar with the grades that I didn't teach, the younger grades.
When did you decide on this career?
Last year. I was a teacher up until last year, and I had started talking with the principal last year on something like this, and he suggested that I consider being principal here, and that's when I really started to become interested in it. And the more I studied in it, the more I read about it, the more I started taking grad courses for it, the more I liked it. It's a wonderful job.
What goals do you have in your career?
Well, obviously there's the immediate goals of the school itself. The sustenance of the school, making sure that it's financially viable, making sure that the working relations among the staff and the students and the families are going very well. There's all that. In terms of the vision for down the road, there's school possibility for school expansion, the buildings and grounds improvement that I'd like to see done. In terms of personal goals, really the sky's the limit. I'm not going to put too many limits on it. I can see doing this for quite a while. I could see going into writing and authoring either sections on, specifically on school administration related things, or perhaps something more broad. I could see going back to school, getting my doctorate. I'm not going to put any restrictions on that because there's a lot to do.
What do you think it takes to be successful in this career?
I think hard work, I think, is a given. It does take a hard work. It takes a lot of time. I think mental stability. I think compassion for your students, compassion for your staff, striving to achieve a balance in terms of your personal life versus work environment, but at the same time not necessarily separating the two, so that there's the work part of me and then the home part of me. I don't like that idea. I consider myself to be one person, and so how do I make all of what I do, me, instead of having the work life and the home life? But I think achieving a balance in terms of time away, time off the clock, so to speak, for personal relationships, for personal development, is critical, and I don't think it can be done without it.
Do you travel for your job?
Not so much. I'll go to different conferences. Last year I was in Minneapolis for a national convention. But other than that, I'll be going to San Francisco a little bit later. I think administrators in general will do that to a certain degree, but probably during the school year, you won't see administrators, at least at the grade school level, traveling very much. I think administration at the higher levels, when you get into university administration, you're probably going to do a little bit more traveling, but not too much. That's mostly the job at the university level of the recruitment offices, but administrators are pretty much on hand all the time.
Do you work independently or on a team? And if you work on a team, can you give some examples?
Well, I'll give you an example. For example, right now the Catholic schools in Bismarck are in the process of consulting with a group out of Denver to better coordinate our Catholic schools in town. And aside from that, we hold meetings pretty regularly between the 3 grade schools in Bismarck and the high school. We'll get together and just so we can touch base on different things happening in the schools, trying to align our curriculums as much as we can. So that happens to a certain extent, but this is an autonomous place. It's one school, it's one parish that organizes the school. So we're largely, it's largely up to us to make sure that things are getting done, and we take, there are suggestions, and we work with other schools as much as we can. But it's a pretty insulated environment at the moment, more so than the public school system, where it's a whole system of schools under one administration. When you get into private school administration, it has its benefits and its detriments, I think. You don't have that bureaucracy above you making those decisions that maybe you'd like to make, but you also have the increased work of being in charge of things that public school administrators maybe wouldn't have to deal with, like buildings and grounds. And so that's, I think, a big difference between the private school and the public school administration position.
Okay, we're done.
Oh,
See?
not so bad, huh?
Wasn't it?
Yeah.